Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game, the podcast where I, your host, Connor McCabe, bring on a guest to hear from them about a meaningful or memorable video game from a particular moment in their life. This is a show about what makes video games special to different people and why. And today, you're listening to Co-op episode 59, where I'm going to be discussing with a panel of absolute vets of the podcast and vets of the genre, a little game called Sea of Stars that were released in the year 2023. If you're a listener of this series, this bonus co-op series that I do every month that it originally releases on our Patreon for our engineered toads and above at this moment, or a week later on YouTube, this is different than the normal format. I sit down on the co-op series and talk to a group of people about a game. It's more of like a panel discussion about that dives in way more to the details of the game than we get into on the regular format of the show. And this year we're covering indie games. This is technically the episode for May of 2025, even though it's coming out in June, late June 2025, because it took me longer to play it than I would have guessed. So if you're listening to this and you're a Patreon supporter or you're on YouTube, in about a week or two, you're about to get another episode, and then 3 weeks after that, another. So you're going to get a lot in a short series of time. But this year we've covered indie games such as Shovel Knight, Papers, Please. What else have we covered? Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, another great indie game. And we got a lot more fun stuff to come, including Donut County next month and Supergiant's Bastion in July. So it should be fun. But that'll do it for the housekeeping of the show. And I'll introduce our guests for the episode. We've got three party members here with me today, and I'm going to more sort of I guess take on the role of Teeks, where I'm not really in your party, but I'm sort of in your inventory, and I tell you stories and stuff. See, guys, already incorporating the game into the intro. First and foremost, we've got teacher and baseball whiz Eddie Martin back on the show. Eddie, good to see you, pal.
Happy to be back. I am enjoying my summer break. I feel like a kid on summer break. I don't know what to do with myself. So I've been watching baseball and playing Baldur's Gate 3 a lot.
Dude, what an absolute dream, buddy. You know, I know that must be, first of all, it sounds amazing. Summer break sounds incredible. We used to spend a lot of our summer breaks with each other, doing basically exactly that, watching baseball, playing wiffle ball, and playing too many video games. But, buddy, it's great to have you back on the pod.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
We got also someone who requested to be introduced this way, so I'll go ahead and do it. Drink pourer and voice actor Mikey Stephens.
It's not what I requested. Happy to be here.
Welcome back, pal. Mr. Co-op himself, featured on the first ever Co-op episode where we discussed The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You've been on plenty more. I appreciate you taking the time to do this today, dude.
Hey, man. You know, these are always super fun. Happy to be here. Finally, to round out our crew, appropriately, because in the game, you only battle with 3 party members at a time, we've got Cat Motherer and Las Vegas leaver Kristin Thorson.
That's me. I did leave Las Vegas, just like that. I think the movie, that's a thing, right? Leaving Las Vegas. Maybe it's not. Anyway,
there's fear
also
and there's loathing. I know that.
And there's also The Simpsons Rock
cat.
Vegas, right?
I feel like leaving Las Vegas is a thing. I'm just going to pretend it is.
There's also falling out of a newer version of Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, either way, hey, thanks for having me. Also, just want to say I love both of the games you listed that are coming up. So if you need the year of Kristin on every co-op.
I mean, it really is the year of Kristin, because the other game I couldn't remember the name of that we covered this year was Untitled Goose Game. You were on that.
Honk honk.
You're also, I think I've also hit you up about doing a Stardew Valley episode at the end of the year.
Yes.
So who knows? You maybe end up being on half of these, Kristin.
Hell yeah, brother. Put me in, coach.
How do you do a Stardew? Do you just play the game forever and just talk about it forever until you die?
I'll pretty much, yeah. I've been playing this. So I had never played it, but I've been playing it since the year started. I will say I definitely haven't touched it for like 2 months, but I had a solid 2 months where I was playing it like every other day. But I'm going to basically bring on some people like Kristin who have much more experience with it to discuss it. It's sort of our bonus. We're doing 13 of these this year because
Indiana Jones, technically not an indie game, even if it's a clever, funny way to introduce it. So we got another one coming up.
I just got it.
Me too. Me too, actually. I was going to be like, Indiana Jones. Isn't that like
I was like,
AAA title?
You're like
I was
Bethesda.
sitting here like, oh, I didn't know it was an indie game. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an indie game, guys. Come on.
There we go.
Got it.
we're geniuses.
We're geniuses. This is our panel for today. I'm so excited to have everybody on here to discuss a game I've half introduced, Sea of Stars. We're going to first get into a little table setting for what this game is. I do think that most people listening to this or watching this on YouTube are probably familiar with the game or have even played it themselves, but just in case someone's like, I want to listen to this crew talk about this and drum up some interest, then here I go. But folks, if any of you want to jump in at any time, again, especially if you happen to have followed the lead up and release of this game, you got the green light. Without further ado, here I go. Sea of Stars is a modern JRPG, stands for Japanese role-playing game, developed and published by the team at Sabotage Studio and was released on August 29th, 2023 for Windows, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. So they had, basically all platforms upon release, which is a huge deal. Sabotage Studio is known for the success of their previous game, The Messenger, which was a 2018 release. I've heard it described as it starts out as a Ninja Gaiden-like action platformer and sort of, through a bit of a twist, turns into a Metroidvania. I've never played it. Eddie, have you played this game?
I've always wanted to, but I have not played The Messenger.
That makes two of us. Kristin and Mikey, how about you guys?
No, I've owned it since 2018, but I've never played it.
Hey, something for us to do later, I guess. Look forward to next year's second round of indie titles on the co-op series. Creative director Terry Bollinger's vision for Sea of Stars was to combine what he saw as the best parts of several sort of legacy role-playing games with an emphasis on modernizing and translating the feeling of playing them rather than directly copying them. This is something that I think is one of the biggest points of, I guess, table setting to bring up about this game, is that it wears its inspiration on its sleeve. I think I'll even dive into this a little more in the main discussion, but I think the game that comes most to mind, and even my girlfriend Amanda one time was watching me, I think when I was starting to play this game, she walked in the living room and was like, oh, that looks like Chrono Trigger. And so even she was like, this looks like something else. And it was like, well, it was very inspired by it and many other games. Let's see. The studio wanted to self-publish, and they launched a Kickstarter campaign in March of 2020 alongside a press reveal to prove the viability of the project to themselves and investors. I did not back this game on Kickstarter. I learned about it a little closer to release. But is anybody here listed in the credits of this game?
Nope.
No. Hey, I have to ask one more question that gets a no from all of us. But I know it did have thousands of backers. In fact, the credits of the game, if any of you might remember, it's more recent for me, they last forever because they had so many backers that they thankfully give you like a zoom through credits sequence of buttons you can hold. But it did very well there. For the context of the game itself, actually, the setting, Sea of Stars is set primarily on an archipelago of islands in a fantasy world where the player controls either, I've been pronouncing their names, Valerie or Zale. Did anyone go with a Valere? I've always said Valerie.
I went Valere.
I also went Valere.
Valere for me, so I'm different than all you.
Valere.
I thought she was Valere.
This is like a new Titus moment for us to all, which I still will always call him Titus. So you play either one of two main characters, not siblings, but these solstice warriors who use the power of the sun and moon. They journey throughout the world on a quest to destroy powerful monsters called Dwellers and to stop the immortal alchemist who created them. We'll dive into a little bit more of the story as well as we move further into the main discussion. Upon release,
Sea of Stars received positive reviews with its acclaim for graphics and music. Critics had mixed opinions towards the story and characterization. It sold over 250,000 copies in its first week and was played by more than 6 million people by November 2024. That sentence is phrased that way because this game was, I believe, both a PS Plus and an Xbox Game Pass title when it released. So many people had access to it through more than just purchasing the game, and it received several accolades after release, including winning Best Indie Game at the Golden Joystick Awards and the Game Awards, the Keeleys as we call them, in 2023, and was nominated for many other categories among not even just like the Indie Game Awards. And a downloadable content expansion, some recent DLC called Throes of the Watchmaker, was actually just released last month. And even though I finished this game in June, I did not touch any of the bonus DLC, so I personally won't have anything to share about the DLC, and I would assume maybe this is their time, guys. Did anyone else play the DLC? Did anyone play the DLC? It's a no for me.
1, 2, 3.
No.
Yeah, we did it! Now that's an organic rule of threes moment right there, folks.
There you go.
Anyway, they did just release some DLC. I haven't heard a thing about it, but I hope it's great, and maybe someday I'll dip back into it. As far as the history and context of just setting the table for this game goes, does anyone want to jump in with any additional information we maybe left out, or did anyone follow this development lead up closely?
I didn't follow the lead up. The one thing that I thought was cool leading up to actually what got me to look more into it and actually try the demo was that I love when somebody who's a big fan of something gets to participate with somebody who was part of the original thing. And
sure.
So I saw that Mitsuda did some tracks for the soundtrack, and that was when I was like, oh yeah, I'll check this out. That rules. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah.
That kind of shit's always so cool to me. Far on the other side of the spectrum, Tegan and Sarah got to do a song with Cyndi Lauper, and I'm like, imagine growing up loving Cyndi Lauper and then she covers your song. Imagine growing up loving Chrono Trigger. Gosh. And then the composer makes a song for your game. That
Imagine
rules.
being from Philadelphia and playing catch with Chase Utley. That's kind of what that's like.
Imagine being in 3rd grade and Ken Griffey Jr. comes to your classroom and shoots a commercial, and you're the only person from the classroom that makes it into the commercial. Imagine that.
That actually happened to Mikey. He's laughing, but
I was gonna say,
you've got a great picture from that too.
True story.
That I'll put up here. Just kidding. I'm not gonna put it in the video.
I'm gonna look up this commercial.
I know.
I've been looking for it for years. I can't find the damn thing.
You guys are gonna reunite someday, and it's gonna be beautiful. Anyway, Kristin, I love that little tidbit though. In fact, I kind of had forgotten that until today. I was like, who did compose music for this game? And I looked up and saw that Mitsuda had at least contributed to 10 tracks or something like that. Yasunori Mitsuda, who people will know from Chrono Trigger and other games and series as well, but that's probably what he's best known for. Anyway, yeah. That's it for some of the table setting. Eddie and Mike, you didn't have anything you were going to share, did you?
Nah, not this juncture.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about, just the place and time when we all played this for the first time, any little details we might remember, or just how we came to discover this game. I'll kick things off for us and say that, as I had sort of been leading into a bit earlier, that I was kind of familiar with this because I think it kept showing up in indie directs from Nintendo, and so I started to see this more and more and heard the buzzwords about it, that it was heavily inspired by Chrono Trigger and whatnot. But because I never played The Messenger, wasn't familiar with the studio, I wasn't super familiar with them, but I was really excited about the game. However, when the game came out, there were a lot of mixed reviews at the time, and it kind of threw me. It didn't make me not want to play it, but it really bumped it down in my list of games I have to play now in the year 2023, which was a banger year. I mean, Eddie
I think you brought up Baldur's Gate 3. That was on the podcast. That game came out that year. Tears of the Kingdom came out. It was an amazing year. Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Wonder, ton of games. But because I had a little less time, I just didn't play it because I didn't prioritize it, and heard some things like that. But leading into this year, knowing that I was going to do this indie series, I was like, okay, I got to cover at least one indie sort of JRPG style game. It's either going to be Sea of Stars or it's going to be, gosh, what's that other one that Mikey, you and Eddie liked it that came out the same year? Chained Echoes. Thank you. I never can remember. The disrespect from me. I was like, I think I'm going to play one of these two. And I may have even decided that I was going to already play Sea of Stars, but at our little video game Secret Santa this year, a dear friend of the show, Courtney Vinay's had me and got me a physical copy of Sea of Stars.
Hey.
Oh, wow. Had no idea.
Gift.
That's so sweet. Had no idea that, like, I think she knew that I was at least a fan of, like, retro JRPGs, but it was kind of a chance she took, and I was so happy to get it. And that's what definitely solidified the fact that we were going to do this episode this year. But I started playing it about 2 months ago. I think it was like middle of April. Just recently finished it. I ended up playing this game a lot at home. I just went to Hawaii with my family, and I was playing Sea of Stars like in a cabana or in the hotel room as I was falling asleep. A lot of plane rides too.
That kid from the White Lotus.
In every way imaginable, I am the little brother from season 1 of White Lotus. Yeah, I was just playing the heck out of this game. I am really excited to get into the main discussion because as a little tease, I'll say that I ended up liking it even more than I thought. My expectations were very dampened by what I had heard from other people, including our mutual friend Mike Steele, Kristin, and
Hater alert.
who really doesn't like this game. But dang, I'm excited to say that I loved it, and I'm pumped to talk about it. Kristin, I'll turn to you first. How'd you come to play this game? What do you remember about the time and place when you did play it?
Yeah, I had seen the demo on like a Nintendo Direct or something like that, and so I downloaded it and decided I would try it. And I remember at the time being like, "Oh, this is kind of neat," but I'd rather leave. I usually don't play too far into demos because then I don't like to redo the part that I played in the demo later. So I had been in like an RPG slump, kind of. I just like was getting so sick of like just trying RPGs that weren't meshing with me. And then the same year, the Live Alive remake came out on PC, and I played that, and that was like, I love that. That's one of my favorite RPGs ever now, and it like reinvigorated me. And I was like, all right, I gotta play another one. And so when it came out, it was like coming out shortly after I played Live Alive, and so I got it. And I also had a Steam Deck that was relatively new, so I was like, I need a reason to use this. Ooh. And so I pretty much just lounged around and played it on my Steam Deck. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time, and it continued my streak of enjoying like modern but like retro inspired RPG. Well, Live Alive's not modern, but still.
Yeah.
It was a good one. It got me back on the right track, and I've been back on board with RPGs since then, I would say.
Huge. That's awesome. And I know that contextually, I know I don't stop bringing up where you're from, and I've made it too much of a topic of conversation, but you hadn't moved yet, correct?
No, yeah, I did play this in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Great, we got our time and
Clark
place,
County.
Folks. And that was you haven't revisited this game since, right? That was your one playthrough?
That was my one playthrough.
Great.
I did have to maybe refresh myself on some plot points before this.
I mean, I just played it, and I definitely watched a video that's like, what happened in that game? So, no sweat. Eddie Martin, my pal.
Hello.
How'd you come to play this game? And what do you remember about the time and place when you did?
Similar to Kristin, I played the demo on the Switch. I thought, this looks fun and neat. It's, hitting all the right notes for me as a big Chrono Trigger guy. Mm-hmm. I then didn't really think much about the game. I knew it came out at some point. Life got busy. I played it last June. And the reason I know that is because I couldn't remember when I played it, but I searched on my messages and I just searched Sea of Stars and I found a bunch of texts of me raving about it to my brother. And I was like, all right, timestamp, June 9th, got it. So it was about a year ago.
Nice.
And I played it because I played Training Echoes the year before. I loved it. Sea of Stars was one that was on my list. And I played it on Game Pass on my PC. So that was a pretty fun experience to play it there. Looked really great on my monitor. Loved it. And that was my experience. So I haven't played it since then.
Nice.
So I did as well have to look up some stuff to remind myself of everything that happened because the story's a little crazy.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I remember.
Yeah, I'm excited. The story and narrative in particular, I'm excited. It's sort of the writing all as a whole. This is previewing the main discussion. That might be the thing that I like the least about the game, but there still are highlights, I think, for me, especially when it comes to most of the characters, not the characters some might think. But I'm pumped to talk about more of that. It seems like it's going to be rife for discussion. Or ripe? I said rife? Whatever. Mikey Stephens, how'd you play this game, buddy?
I'm rife to talk about it. This was a Game Pass game for me.
Okay.
It's like a perfect Game Pass game. I feel like that's how I won't think twice about just downloading it and checking it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This game was in some serious competition with other shit that was out at the time. So it quickly got backburnered, but has been something that I've like chipped away at over time, very slowly, just like a million other RPGs that I've started and chipped away at and been like, I'll get back to this. And so it's something like I literally opened it today and have to like reacclimate and be like, all right, what the hell is going on? Okay, wait, there's interactive systems. So I still haven't beat this game.
Yeah.
Had to, watch some videos and get the full summary and stuff. But I still plan to because I like it enough that I'm like, I want to beat this whole thing. So yeah, that's been my experience with this. I think definitely it was this versus Baldur's Gate 3 at the time, and I was like, yeah, sorry, little fella, I'll get back to you when I do. But yeah, overall, I like this game, and excited to talk about it and some of the sort of more nuanced points.
That's awesome. I can just relate so much to the, plinking away at an RPG over the years. But I find that every time I do that, if it's been honestly more than a month, and I've like picked it, I'll often like pick one up, play it for like a night, like 2 hours, and be like, that was cool. A month later, I don't remember what happened, so I got to start that thing over. And
you'll start it all the way over?
I've done that.
That's wild.
Like I've probably played the opening tutorial sequence of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance like 6 times, and I'll just never play that whole game. I just know.
I thought you were going to say Final Fantasy 6, Connor, because you did that for a long time too, and it was a sin.
Now I've played the first half of that game like 6 times, so I've made it to the World of Ruin so many times and just have never. My most recent one.
You're restarting after getting all the way to the World of Ruin.
Well, I think
crazy.
now
saving the grandpa with the fish, that stupid fish mini game, all over and over.
Yeah, I need to see the opera again.
Yeah, I just I just got to hear it. Speaking of classic JRPGs, that's everybody. We got through everybody. Great. So we kind of know where we all were coming into the approaching this game and all that jazz. And I'll open up the main discussion for the podcast. And I think where I want to start, which is the most obvious thing about the game when you look at it, we've been dancing around the subject, and that's the inspiration that this game took from classic JRPGs, many franchises and games that we're all familiar with, and how I think the game, for the most part, really succeeded in sort of blazing its own trail. And it doesn't. Obviously, the game is not ashamed about its inspiration. We talked about Chrono Trigger, of course, like a game I've discussed at least with Eddie a million times in our lives. But
we can talk about other ones too. When it comes to this topic, though, did anybody else have other games that this game... I've got like a little list I can rattle off, but Kristin, when you played this game, were there others that you were like, oh, there's hints of this here?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I actually, speaking of our mutual friend Mike not liking the game, I remember arguing with him lately about it because it surprised me because that motherfucker loves Super Mario RPG so much. And he was complaining about the timing aspects of Sea of Stars. And I'm like, it's Super Mario RPG. But that is probably what it reminded me the most of. I remember thinking to myself that I was surprised that more people weren't talking about how it had a lot of Super Mario RPG-esque mechanics and vibes to it. Because, like, visually, yeah, Chrono Trigger, but I just felt like everything else was Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, the part that is the most obvious there is, like, what you were, I guess, hinting towards is the timed battle mechanics that you have in this game for both attacks and defense, whether it be like you get a second hit on your main attack if you time it correctly, or you can block some of the damage from an enemy's move if you time that correctly as well. And it leans into that in more places. There's also some like a thing that Super Mario RPG does a bit, which is like the platforming around that game. This one's a lot more smooth and I think goes down a lot easier than the platforming in that game does, especially being in like the isometric view in that pseudo 3D world. But yeah, Super Mario RPG is a big one. Eddie, are there any games that you sort of saw like hints of when you watched this?
I feel like you are going to mention this, so I'll get ahead of you. A lot of Golden Sun.
A lot of Golden Sun.
A lot of Golden Sun. The pictures of the characters that pop up when they talk.
Yeah.
That's very Golden Sunny. And then the puzzles in the overworld, like how you have to like push blocks and do all those things. That's a lot like Golden Sun. So that's what I thought of.
Yeah, definitely. That was one that was top of mind for me as well, of course. A game that, of course, I know and love very much. But yeah, a couple of things that I thought this game really did that was kind of fun were those very simple sort of platforming and traversal, like, I guess, abilities that it gave you. I believe you only really get two, which is the block pushing mechanic, which is like I think it's technically like a wind mechanic they give you in this game. And the second one, which is the grappling hook, which can not only attach you to like a ladder in the distance or propel you off of a piece of wood between a couple platforms, but it also can help you get a quick, essentially a first strike on an enemy, and something else that's pretty cool. Mikey, did you see any notice any shades of other games that come to mind for you?
Well, I mean, you spoke of Final Fantasy VI a few times, but like, I don't know of any other like group party RPGs that like constantly split your party up like this one. Maybe in Chrono Trigger, I guess, just selecting who you want to be in your, I don't know. But the game kind of like several times forces you to deal with something with two people at a time, or then it'll go back to three. So a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But then the main one for me is, I think, Super Mario RPG.
Yeah. That's
the one that's like, it's like Chrono Trigger with a bullet, and then Super Mario RPG for sure.
Big time. Yeah, I definitely see some of that similarity of the party splitting up. There's like one point in particular in this game, which I thought was like, when I was playing it, I was like, oh, surely this is like one of the last things you do. And turns out there was a twist and a whole nother act, which I was deflated by, but then ended up loving, where, they split up your party. And to a little bit of credit to this game, and kind of a thing that I think is true throughout, is that it's so well designed and when I say that, I mean, like, kind of like how Chrono Trigger is really great, of like, the world is, each battle, they know almost exactly the amount of battles you're going to have in that game. Sure, there are things you can avoid, there's grinding you could or could not do, but I felt like this game throughout it, including those sections where you get split up with just like two party members, was so well balanced for that. And I maybe did a hair of grinding in this game, almost none. So a little 6 in there. I'll say a game that I know that I think all of us really enjoy. I know for sure Eddie and Kristin do, is Final Fantasy X. And there's 2 places I saw this game. One was the fact that you can swap out a party member as long as they haven't attacked during that turn with another one of your party members on the bench at basically any time. Mm-hmm. I love the sort of, it's not necessarily rock, paper, scissors, but that sort of like puzzle within the battle.
Agreed.
I thought that was so great. What'd you say, Mikey? Sorry.
No, I think it's called like blocking or whatever, that mechanic where you have to match the
attacks and
symbol.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. I would do that at times where I needed to do that of like, oh, I need a poison attack on this monster, otherwise it's going to get this heavy hit on me. Or I'm like, well, if I send this guy out, he can heal the rest of these guys, and he might take a hit, but that's okay. So 10. Also, Kristin, as soon as the game started, I was like, this Zale guy just looks like Titus to me.
A little bit. I don't know. Maybe just because he's blonde. Do you think all blondes look the same?
I am constantly...
You think Cloud is Titus?
Yeah. I only heard you say Titus there. Did you say 2 names, Mikey?
I just said Titus twice.
Guile
You're right. You
from
got
Street
me,
Fighter.
dude.
That's Titus. Guile.
Yeah. I also really like when Super Mario saves Titus from Bowser all the time. But even his little... No, I'll go to bat for it a little harder. I think even his little outfit, if you look like at the character art, it's so reminiscent of Titus's outfit. I don't think he's wearing he has one pant leg and one short or anything like that.
I was gonna say he has 2 pant. I'm looking at him right now. He has 2 pant legs, so it's not in the same ballpark.
Yes, I just couldn't stop thinking about that. But as the overall, we've been talking about little inspirations here and there, but I'd love to get opinions from you guys on this very obvious choice that they made, was to wear the inspiration of classic titles on their sleeves. I'll kick this off by saying that I think what I really like about it is that it is kind of and this was very intentional. I've listened to the director on the Game Maker's Toolkit podcast a couple years ago. He talked about how there's elements of old JRPGs that he would love, that he's like, why can't one of them just have all of these things here, from the ability to all these things we've been talking about, swapping out your party members, the timed attacks of Super Mario RPG, many little elements like that, or the very authored world of Chrono Trigger. And I really think they succeeded in a lot of ways of that. I would understand completely if someone got really tired of okay, this is clearly inspired by blank game, in the overworld, how it's so overtly the Chrono Trigger map style of walking slowly on the map, your characters are tiny, and I know that plenty of games do that, but this is so specifically, it's 1-to-1, you can see it. But maybe I'll turn to Mikey, I'll turn to you first as I open it up to everybody. What do you feel about the game choosing to just not acknowledge, but I guess embrace its inspiration?
Choosing me first is interesting.
I can go to somebody else happily.
Well, I don't have the most positive out of the bunch.
That's okay. Go for it. We'll who knows? Maybe they'll turn it. It doesn't have to be positive. It's okay.
Okay. I think I don't mind the choice at all. I think, one of my favorite books ever, Steal Like an Artist, right? I love that. I love the idea of even if you try and do your best impression of someone else, you're still just a conduit of all of your influences. It's still gonna come out different.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's where my issue is. I think they nail that. We talked about a different RPG a second ago, Chained Echoes, where I think they sort of succeeded in then sort of contributing, I guess, is
yes.
Yeah, so that's sort of where Sea of Stars left me wanting a little bit, is I was like, oh, you guys nailed the impression, and I'm kind of consistently feel as I've been playing it and going through it and your offering is, and sort of waiting for that, and I think that's sort of the point. The point is to take everything that's come before you, pay homage, show that you can do it, and then flourish. Just one new thing, something that like, and I kind of felt at times with Sea of Stars in this regard that they just were a bit on the nose and not necessarily like, and here's our offering, and here's, you know. So I guess that's my take. I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer of the gang, but at times I sort of felt like, you know, we get that you love all this shit, but like also, like what's uniquely you, I guess, and sometimes I didn't. That was unclear to me, I think. So,
Kristin, were you going to jump in on this?
Yeah. You know, I think that's super fair, because like it is like, yeah, it's a fun little game to play, but if you were like, okay, sell me on what it does that only it does, that's a fair point, because there's not maybe the lock system, and that would probably be it. But like, it's kind of like, have you guys played Clair Obscur yet?
No, I really want to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like Clair Obscur.
Great example.
Yeah, does also like pays homage to tons of RPGs, but it also has its own like unique thing. It's a completely like unique story, even if it's kind of hitting repeated, you know, familiar beats. It just does a lot of its own stuff, and so I think you can do a really nice homage, but also still do your own thing.
Yeah. And I think that's just a matter of taste also. It's definitely not I'm not in the, it sounds like Mike Steele camp where I'm like, this is trash. I don't think it's trash. I think I gravitate more towards, just that extra little offering. Just that one little thing that's kind of like, and here's our thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Eddie, but do you have any thoughts on this subject?
Yeah, and I think Mikey's criticisms are very valid. For me personally, I played both Chained Echoes and this game, and I prefer this game. And the reason is sometimes like I just like that it's on the nose. Like I like what you're giving me. It's like fan service, but I love it. It's like going to like Endgame and clapping and cap with the hammer. It felt like that, which Mikey's totally right. They didn't bring anything to the table to elevate the genre. But to me, I was like, that's what I was looking for. I didn't need something cutting edge or, you know, I ate it up as it was. And the thing, and I love Chained Echoes. I thought it was awesome. The story was very like intense and mature. And dark. I kind of wasn't expecting that from Chained Echoes. So to have like a more lighthearted adventure with my friends and Garl in particular, just like I just ate it up at the time. And I felt like I was when I played Chrono Trigger, because I played that when I was 14 on the emulator. Remember, Connor?
Yeah,
and that was my first experience with that game, and it blew my mind. And it felt kind of similar. It didn't like blow my mind, but I just felt like I enjoyed it. Felt like a kid again. I was having fun. It checked all the boxes for me. So I loved it.
Yeah, I wonder too if what this game, I think, Mike, you make a great point of like asking that question, like what are you, Sea of Stars, bringing to the table to elevate or push the genre or do your own thing, really? And it seems like the answer to that is kind of like the concoction, this like soup of inspiration is kind of what it brings, which like in like a vacuum, I love that. And I actually think that I love that they did bring all these elements into, especially the combat is like the high point for me. And they bring like one little element to that. It seems like on all these fronts of discussion too, as far as like what do they bring, they push it like a hair, but nothing incredibly unique that blows it open. For example, in the combat, they've got that, I can't remember what the terminology is. It's like extra mana or whatever, but that thing that happens where you use a regular attack on an enemy and it like poops out these orbs, and you can be up to 3 sets of orbs.
That's canon. They're pooping.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
How they were designed.
They got that thing that allows you to then choose when you use this to like charge up any sort of move, whether it be like a healing attack, a regular attack, a summon, whatever. So they bring that, but it's like, and as much as I'm advocating for it, I can acknowledge that that's just like it's like a little step forward, or like kind of doing it and not really being like, no, here's what we are doing.
At least I think. Not to like put myself in between opinions, but I think that's kind of what it did, at least from a combat perspective. And I think where this might be, I don't know if I want to get into narrative immediately, but I think the place where, Mikey, I would agree with you more is the narrative. Leaving the game, I didn't really feel like it. I saw where everything came from, and I loved the choices they made, but I thought there was going to be more to the narrative, or there were certain beats that by the end of the game I was waiting to be like, okay, what's the fallout of this going to be? And it seemed like some of those things didn't happen. When I say that specifically, I'm talking about the, we're controlling Valere and Zale, and there's a certain point in the game where a twist comes, and spoilers for people who haven't played the game, if you're at this point, we're getting into a little narrative stuff. It's
Mikey.
It kind of expected on the
Cover
podcast. I assume you probably at least got to this point, Mikey, where you find out that the two people that you looked up to, you're sort of like your forefathers of the solstice, these two people who are ahead of you, are actually working for the bad guys, and they're the reason that all hell really breaks loose, is they allow that to happen. And that I thought was like a great twist, even if I never see twists coming because I'm just like usually in a story, even if it's like very obvious. I didn't see this coming. But by the end of the game, I didn't feel like there was any great narrative payoff for that betrayal / relationship. One of them just sort of leaves and has his memory wiped, and the other one...
Cipher. He has a cipher from the Matrix.
Yeah, he does. He chooses a stake. Yes.
He makes the deal and leaves.
But Erlina, who's the other one of the two of them, who decides to really go forward with this plan by the alchemist, or whatever he's called. Names are going to get crazy for me in this. I barely remember any names. But she ends up being... It's not the true ending final boss, but she ends up being the regular ending final boss. But I felt like by the time that happens, she is already been mentally taken over by this sort of, I guess evil and virus, so she doesn't have anything. Anyway, there's just no payoff with her, which I thought that was a huge missed opportunity. So I think, Mikey, where I land on like I wish they would have done more is just, maybe I'm just saying I wasn't satisfied with the ending of the narrative, despite liking a lot of the some of the parts were good for me but not great. I think I don't know if anyone resonates with that or feels differently. Eddie, how do you feel about... Oh, Mikey, go ahead. Sorry.
I think it's an interesting point, Eddie, that you bring up. Chained Echoes feeling mature and serious, because at least at the time of playing Chrono Trigger, that's how that story felt to me.
Sure.
It felt like it had weight to it, and I think all the great RPGs that I've liked in this sort of vein have had that same, I don't know, weight, and this one didn't. I don't know. It just wasn't there. So I don't know, but I realize I'm not gonna be the popular guy in this section.
That's fine. No, it's all good. Mikey, did you play up to the part where you lose a party member?
No.
Oh boy. There's basically like a final act for you to play that I don't know if it will necessarily change your mind. It may or may not. But there are some things that especially you learn after that in the new world you go to that I felt like did give it more weight than I was expecting. Like that's kind of where I was too, leading up to this third act and this big, it's not really a twist, but this junction point that Eddie's talking about. And I felt like it did have that. There was, I think because, and this is kind of getting us into another subject, so I apologize. I think because, and this is a problem in a lot of these games, it can be a problem in these games, that I didn't really care about the main characters, like the player characters. I chose Valere, by the way. That's the thing I think I left out. You can choose, you have them both the whole time.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't make any difference.
It's a personal preference.
But I guess I was Valere. I controlled Valere, the monk. Mikey, do you remember who you're running around as, the boy or the girl?
Charizard, yeah.
Charizard, okay.
I went red. Fire.
How about you, Eddie?
I chose Valir. She looked cool.
Kristin?
I went Blastoise.
Okay, Blastoise. Cool.
I failed.
I think partly because I didn't think they're not by any means like the worst characters I've ever seen in a game or a story. I think because I wasn't super invested in them, and a strength of many of these games when you have a sort of a Cypher-like another use of Cypher, but a Cypher-like character that you're sort of placing yourself in their shoes. The side characters are so strong, which I think many of them in this game are. Because of that, I think the narrative as a whole, I just wasn't as invested in, even by the end.
By them giving you two options for your protagonist and making them both blank slates, it's kind of like it's an interesting choice.
Yeah,
they could have easily had Valir be the main character, and if you want to make her one note, that's fine. But have the other character be rebellious or aggressive or anything. It was an interesting choice to do that.
Yeah, totally agree. Kristin?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is that it's pretty common in RPGs for like the main character to not really have a personality, because it's intended for you to project it onto yourself. So then when they give you two, that knocks out two characters who just don't have a personality. Then, and so it does take a little bit of a hit.
Yeah, and about this too, when I'm making this choice at the beginning of the game, I was like, oh, I'm gonna choose one of them, and then at a certain point, one of them's gonna be evil, or there's gonna be a crazy twist, and guess what? None of that happens.
Or I can replay the game again through the other perspective. It's going to be crazy, but it's like it's not going to change anything.
Yeah,
it's not like Sonic and Shadow.
Yeah, I assume the reason this is in the game is because they have this whole thing about the solstice of the sun and moon, and that being important. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it was an expectation I set for myself, thinking there was going to be more to that, but. Sounds like a lot of people actually experience a similar thing, which is like, why is this the case? Kristin, I don't know if were you going to say something? Sorry.
Well, just the narrative in general, like, it's like two parts. Because on one hand, I kind of think that, because I saw, not you specifically, but I saw a lot of people complaining about like how simple the story was and how the writing was very simplistic. And I'm like, well, that's what you like. Go back and play some of these older RPGs and read the dialogue, and it's not really it's not, a lot of it's not that deep, and it was awkward translations, and I'm not saying they were doing that on purpose, but it's in line personally to me. But the ending specifically was it was a surefire like be sure to drink your Ovaltine moment for me. Like not the true ending, but the regular ending was like, because they basically outright said like they're gonna make another game in the same, because this, if you don't know, this is in the same shared universe as the Messenger. There's characters from the Messenger that appear, and they basically were like, we're gonna keep doing that universe, and also the next one's not gonna be an RPG. We're going to do another genre. It's like, well, all right. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't really love that. So it just felt like it kind of was like, a crummy commercial at the end.
CS-Star's Tetris Blast coming soon.
I would play that, actually. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Oh, I mean, you put a little rhythm in there, and then Kristin is off to the races.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Give me a rhythm Tetris. Woo!
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And I'm remembering another point I wanted to make, and then maybe we can talk about something else, because there's so much more to discuss about this game. But about the inspiration of it all, I think that it was like a great strength and weakness of this game, where its strength is that like the combination and I think homage to these great elements of these past amazing games is so great, and it's such a fertile ground for taking it to the next step. But there's also places where I think this game is held back by the inspiration, kind of what maybe that's why the narrative kind of feels that way that it does to us, Kristin, is that it is a little too, it's like, well, those games were like that. So I don't know if I don't know if the writer and director of this game was like, I'm gonna make it like this for this reason. But it's possible. And I will say one area in particular, the opening of the game, and again, I really like this game a lot. The first 2 hours of this game, I was like, I think I'm gonna hate this game, because it starts so slow, like so many, like I guess legendary RPGs do. It starts incredibly slow.
there's like a training sequence where like you see them do a training montage and then the game makes you do training, and I was just like, why couldn't this all been the same thing? That was confusing to me. I think even throughout, and I really grew the writing. I warmed up to the writing of this game, especially the characters, but some of the dialogue in general, it just didn't do too much for me. It was fine. It was fine, is what I was trying to say. Yeah. Mikey, were you gonna say something else before I shift us to another topic?
No.
Okay.
I think that's accurate.
All right. Kristin, I want to turn to you really quick. There's plenty of other elements of this game that we could discuss. Is there one that's top of mind that we haven't touched on yet?
Oh, music. I mean, I know I touched on it a little bit, but I'm a big soundtrack head, if you will. And I love, like, if this music in a game is good, it could be the most dog shit game in the world. I'll be like, yeah, but it was like a B.
That shit sounded good though.
Exactly.
Your Spotify Wrapped is always like, it's always something like Evanescence and Nobuo Uematsu or something like that.
First of all, it's always, you're close. It's always Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yes, I'm
Nobuo
sorry.
Uematsu. Stream Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen. All hits.
But you were, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That really is the case. Like it's always like pop girly, him, pop girly. But anyways,
Great music.
It's all great. But yeah, it's a great soundtrack. Like last time I checked, it wasn't on Spotify. I need to check if it is again.
Oh.
But I was like, this is absolutely the type of soundtrack that I would just sit and listen to and chill. And I think that adds a whole lot to any RPG. Honestly,
Yeah.
You have to be able to listen to the same stuff over and over.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Just to interject really quick before we keep talking about the music, I was telling you guys earlier, I was wondering who composed the music for this game. When you search, okay. I'm telling on myself here. I use the Microsoft native browser, which is Microsoft Edge, and the automatic search engine is Bing. So when I binged earlier, it was the result shows that it first comes up when you just ask who is the composer of Sea of Stars. Yasunori Mitsuda comes up, which is true. He did contribute composition, but the main majority of the game's music was composed by Eric W. Brown. So I just wanted to shout him out.
Shout out Bing for not knowing that.
Yeah,
hey, you know
shout
what?
out,
If you
shout
use
out
Bing,
Connor's weird choice to out himself for using Bing. You could have just said Google. We wouldn't have known.
It's true.
We all would have thought Gemini told you that. Gemini sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, if you use Bing, you do get Microsoft rewards, and you can pay for your Game Pass. So that's something.
What have I been doing? I'm using that thing all the time.
What the heck?
No, seriously, like they have like little quizzes and stuff you can do, and you can redeem Microsoft gift cards and get Xbox gift cards, like $25 a month, and just pays for your Game Pass.
That sounds like PlayStation points, which if you guys have PlayStations and play anything on PlayStation, you're earning PlayStation points right now. You can only redeem them in the app. Okay? I got some free games because I had thousands and thousands of these damn PlayStation
I'm gonna
games.
download this app right now in the middle of the show.
Is it the Stars program that's going away, Mikey? Is that same thing?
I don't think it is.
Okay.
But it might be.
Well, and if
it
I
also
didn't,
might be exactly that.
if I
don't
didn't
know.
out myself about Bing, we wouldn't have gotten to this conversation about the PlayStation points. But I wanted to include that it says here he's primarily inspired by Chrono Trigger, of course, which has come up a million times. And yeah, this game, the music is just absolutely incredible. I feel like anytime we talk about music, especially on this series, it's hard for me to I often don't have like a track ready to be like, this track was great, but I can remember certain moments in the game where I really loved the music. Kristin, whether it be like a moment or a feeling or just an aspect of the music, do any particular tracks or feelings come to mind?
I feel like I just remember there's a place with a lot of water.
Yeah.
And I remember there being it be like a waterfall and being like, this is perfect waterfall music. Like I don't remember the details, it's been a while. But that, and I also just remember loving the battle track. Like a good battle track goes a long way with me. And I do enjoy the battle track in that game.
It is so good.
It is on Spotify now, by the way.
It's going on the list. I have a very
Sea of
long
Stars,
video game music
original
list.
soundtrack. Eric W. Brown. Shout out Eric W. Brown.
Gosh, should have been listening to
Our
that
boy.
today.
It's a lot of tracks too, isn't it? Like a really long one, like 5 hours.
It's going up to 132.
Wow.
It's
that's-
almost in the
songs?
same league as Claire Obscure.
Oh, and that's disc 1. There's disc 2.
Right. I remember
geez.
seeing that too. There's a song called, I think it's Dance of a Thousand Suns. That's my favorite. I think when Garl pops out of the bushes in the early game and joins your party, even though you told him not to, it plays that song.
Yeah.
And it's like a really jolly, upbeat, like good feeling song. I like that one.
That is great. I feel like even the game, in the menu music, it starts off, it doesn't like flourish, but it starts off
It's cool,
strong. Like it's just sort of like some bleeps and bloops of getting, that I feel like really got me excited about the game. And Kristin was mentioning the battle music. In the battle music can also, it sort of shifts at certain points in the game. Of course, you have different music for like mini bosses or like main bosses in the game, and including, I'm sure, I think an original final boss track as well. But I think when you go to Sarai's world, Kristin, that the battle music totally shifts there. It's like the same.
Right.
There's a lot that it has in common, but the instruments change. And
The more industrial.
yeah,
I'll be honest, I don't remember.
it was
It's
just
like
so
more
great.
bleak. It's like more bleak. It goes with the theme. And yeah, you mentioned the title screen. Did you pick up on when you boot the game up, it shows your party wherever you're at in the game?
Dude, it took me until I was in that final act to realize this, because
really?
once you're in the new world,
Yeah.
I noticed that the fire had changed.
Yeah, it's like blue or something.
Yeah, it's like a mechanical, it's like a piece of, it's a machinery in the whatever that alternate world is.
And I think that's an homage to the Chrono Trigger fire scene.
I think so. Yeah,
the famous one where they're all hanging out with Robo.
You can set up
fire.
camp in so many places in this game, like on the overworld, and go talk to your party members, and it heavy vibes of that for sure. Music-wise too, I remember that I know that I loved it because it would be a game that I feel like oftentimes when I'm playing stuff on Switch, if I'm gonna like put it down and go do something, even if I'm just stepping away for a second, I'll hit the home screen to turn off the music of a game and just like leave. Also, I don't want my playtime running because I like that to be accurate. But this is a game that I would just leave on so that I could hear the music as I'm like bopping to another room or something like that. Mikey, did I give you a chance to talk about any music thoughts and feelings?
No, but I echo the sentiments. I think, yeah, like I was jamming. I'm jamming right now. I wish I didn't discover this Spotify playlist, because I'm literally going through track by track.
Gosh. Yeah, the music's great. If anyone else has some other thoughts about that come up later, feel free to share them. Eddie, I'll turn to you now. Is there an element of this game that we haven't discussed that you want to give some time to?
How do we feel about pirates? Because there's some cool pirate stuff in this game.
There's some very cool pirate stuff in this game.
I'm for him.
Yeah,
I'm pro pirate.
Yeah,
it's kind of neat.
pirate.
I hear what you're saying. I'm
pretty
pro piracy. I hear what you're saying.
I was pretty blown away by the pixel art all through the game. Even going to areas like when you go to the hag's house,
sure.
and it's like the vampire-y, like, I don't know if it's vampire, but it's like there's zombies around, it's marshy.
Yeah.
You find like the hag in her hut. There's just some cool little set pieces that I enjoyed personally. Kind of felt, or even Kristin brought up the water. There's like that tropical water world where you're like going through different layers and you're floating down the river. That was just very fun.
Yeah, dude. Completely agree. I felt like one thing that this game did really well was give such a strong variety of, this is an overused word in, I feel like, games discussions now, but a strong variety of biomes and different areas with their own personality and own flavors. And I think one of the big reasons that I feel that way is not because that was actually the settings that they threw into this game, but was the art and the artistry that they used to communicate it. This game is displayed in a sort of, it's a pixel art first game for the most part. There are these cool, like, another huge homage to Chrono Trigger. There's some not anime cutscenes, but there are animated cutscenes with more like a hand-drawn art style to them.
But for the most part, this is a pixel art focused game. And it is gorgeous. I'm trying to think of an area. There's one.
Even with the when you summon and stuff like that, and you get those like really detailed, it's still like pixel art, but it's like really, really, I don't know how to describe it because it's almost 3-dimensional at times.
It's like 2.5 HD.
Yeah, 2.5. Yeah, that's like all that stuff's super, super impressive. Really, really cool looking.
Yeah, they almost lean into the HD 2D stuff that like the Live Alive remaster did, and of course Octopath Traveler. They almost do that. So I think those moments where I don't know if it's like they use more shading in these parts or they actually give more dimension to the pixel art, but because they lean so heavily in just the 2D of it all for the most part, when there's even a flourish like that, I think it makes a really strong impression.
Yeah.
The scene where you go to the Sea of Stars, when you go to Sarai's world, that was pretty mind-blowing.
Dude, yeah, do you want to talk about that really quick?
From what I remember like seeing it recently, but just to refresh my memory, but you take the ship basically from one world to another, like one dimension to another, and you cross the Sea of Stars to get to this other dimension. But the view turns into a third person behind the boat as it travels through the Sea of Stars, and it's very colorful.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to when Super Nintendo did the Mode 7 stuff with the airship.
Oh, yes.
Or Terra walking with the Magitech armor. It reminded me of that for sure.
It's like
but
when they
way cooler.
Totally. It's like almost they're bringing those ideas to fruition that those developers had 30 something years ago. When we look at the airship above the world of Final Fantasy VI, you see all of the seams of that and how it's barely holding together, and it doesn't even look that cool nowadays, but at the time it was amazing. And it feels like one of the things that they do really well in this game, this included, which is I think they push it a little further. It's not, because obviously they aren't, they're making an impression, they're doing their own impression of this style of game, but they're doing things those games couldn't have done. But they feel like they never, I don't know, they do it in a satisfying way is really what I felt. Eddie, you were talking too about the part where you cross the Sea of Stars and the visuals totally shift to that brief 3D third person perspective. And at first, because I'd heard so much about The Messenger and how there's the big twist that it goes from 8-bit to 16 and it's a Metroidvania, when that was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, is this game about to be like a 3D art style game? And that never happens. But because
you gotta play Evo Land. That's basically the whole...
Evo Land's pretty fun too, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I just thought that I didn't need that to happen by any means, but my brain went to this weird expectation for a second where I was like, maybe this is what's happening, and it wasn't. But there's this one, to highlight the art just really quick. One highlight for me is that I don't remember where it is. It's in the main world on one of the main islands, but you go, as you're traveling through it, there are 3 or 4 different environments, and it may even be, Eddie, the area where the witch lady is, because there's sort of a place that looks like autumn, and then there's the swamp, and then there's a whole nother, it might be where the clockmaker is too. But man, the flourishes that they have, the design and the choices they made with the pixel art, and it is so great. I will say, kind of like old games too, I would bump up against this thing sometimes where I'd be like, where the hell do I go in this dungeon now? And I wouldn't realize there's a ladder right next to me because it kind of blended in. And
perspective.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just because I'm actually stupid, but other times I'm like, no, that is a design issue, or just like something that could have been ironed out.
Do you think this game should have a mini map?
I think that would help a lot.
I think all games should have mini maps.
Or yeah.
That's actually but not to make this a podcast about Clair Obscur, but that's feedback for Clair Obscur as well. Give me a mini map.
I've heard that. Yeah. Yeah, there's not even like there's a map for the overworld, but even that is more of just like as if you were to unfurl a map with locations. It's not a map through a dungeon or what have you.
Yeah, there's this weird sense of pride around not having mini maps for people, and I'm like, get over yourself. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't want to jump topics around.
Oh, no, I mean,
why not? Why not?
Yeah, go for it.
You're about to say, I feel like I'm too good for mini maps.
That's a great time.
Fuck mini maps. I just was testing you guys. What do you guys think about the level progression system in this game?
Oh, where the super, it's very, if I remember correctly, it's also like Super Mario RPG, right? Where it's like you just pick a couple of like stat points to boost.
Yeah, but then I noticed it's very difficult to kind of track your stats and stuff. I feel like the only screen was like the equip screen.
Yeah, I think
and
that's
like
where
items.
Yeah, there's no like status screen where you can just like look at your party. You have to do it that way. It took me a while to find it, but it's in like the equip.
Yeah, that was just something that bugged me. I remember
it's
being like, why?
Well, I think.
Well, what am I doing? Where's my progress? How do I see what influence I'm having? Or just don't even do it. I guess I'm like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie.
Something.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I play games like a Neanderthal, and I do not like. That's why I don't like job systems. Like I'm not looking at my stats.
But that's exactly. I guess that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Is it's almost an illusion of option or something. It's like
That's fair, yeah.
I don't need that. Like either give me personally, I love that shit, so I will get in the weeds. But either give me like an intricate system where I can really customize and like, okay, this is my mage. I'm going all in on intelligence and wisdom and, or don't. Just, you leveled up. Give me some stars, throw parade, and keep it pushing, Allocate the points universally. I don't care. But I don't know.
I get that, yeah.
I wonder if this goes back to Connor's point about balance, because it's almost like maybe they made it on railsy, so you couldn't abuse things, or the difficulty wouldn't get crazy easy because you figured out a way to min-max your guys or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would have been me for sure.
And it could be that. That's how, like Final Fantasy IV, which is one of my favorites, those characters are locked into their jobs. So the game is balanced around, you're going to have this specific party at this time, so the enemies are like weak to this and strong to this. Figure out how to beat them. But then I've been playing Final Fantasy V, trying to beat that, the Pixel remaster, and it's way harder because there's so much freedom. You can do all sorts of stuff with the job system. So it's interesting. Maybe they just didn't want to throw off the balance, but I totally see what you're saying. There's like you can't like completely take Valir and make her like a tanky fighter. Like she's just locked into being the healer and the support character that does the cool boomerang thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even Golden Sun, you could like give the characters different little creatures, and they turned into different classes in a way. So it is interesting. I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, that was something that stood out to me. It always does. I always like. I guess it's like this type of thing bugs me more because it's like trying to pretend like you have influence, but you don't actually. I'm like, no, just either don't give me the option or give me all the options. I don't know.
I think I fell in that same camp, Mikey. Despite feeling the dopamine hit my brain when I choose when I have the option to up my mana points, because that's the rarest one, the one that almost never pops out more rarely than the other perks.
That's another thing. It's never static. It's always like there's like a random one that'll
And I think to this whole point is that it's like, because it's such an authored experience, I don't think they definitely didn't need this to be an aspect of the game. And that's where maybe the combining of like inspirations, where they could have just left one on the cutting room floor, which is like, well, we don't need that little thing from Mario RPG on this because the track we're on is so Chrono Trigger as far as like how it is so specifically authored battle by battle. That's a great point. I would like upgrade things and be like, I don't know, I think
I think her magic defense it looks lower than the other crap. I guess I'll upgrade that, or I'll lean into this, but it didn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so Eddie, we got there because we were talking about the art style. Mikey, I think you're the only person I haven't given a chance, or did I also open it up to you to talk about something we haven't brought up?
Yeah, not yet.
Do you have anything top of mind before I start rattling off a couple more topics?
I do. Because I'm a sucker for a side game, baby.
Oh.
And I like the side game in this. Wheels, the little clockwork game where you have the 2 figurines. Really simple. But I found myself like, I want that champion. I want the new dude, you know? And I spent a lot more time than I thought I was going to.
Wow.
Because I'm not as good at this as I thought I was going to be. And really, I think like the element of gambling of it all, where you're like at least that's how I played it. I'm sure there's a strategy. There is, because you can lock some of the moves in or whatever. But I found myself just gambling hard, man. Just being like, come on, doubles, baby. Give me doubles, you know? Yeah, I put I put so much time into Final Fantasy X because of Blitzball. I put so many hours into The Witcher 3 because of Gwent. So, again, this is another one of those things where I find myself like, oh, shit, I've been in this tavern in this one village for fucking way too long. Yeah, I think Wheels is a fun little side game. Take kudos, hats off to Wheels. It's a cool little game.
I barely touched it. I just couldn't get into it. But I know that I don't know about Eddie, but I know at least Kristin was a big Wheels head.
Yeah, when Connor messaged me about the game, I was like, I love Wheels.
Yeah, Wheels.
I did play all of the possible Wheels games.
Yes.
I loved it. At first, I didn't like it because I was like, I'm bad at this, and that sucks. And then once it clicked, I was like, never mind, love this.
Yes.
And same thing, I love a side game. I just started giving Final Fantasy VIII another try, and I have about 5 hours. 2 of that was straight up just playing triple triad. I'm like, I guess I better move the story along. But I did get Zell's card from his mom, so.
Is there
I also love a side game.
Well,
yeah.
If we're naming side games, I gotta shout out Queen's Blood from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Sure. Queen's Blood's great.
Maybe my favorite one ever. Eddie, did you do much wheels in? Did you wheel around?
I did not fuck with the wheels. I'm sorry, guys.
You and me both.
You know what's
In the
funny,
Mario
though?
Party, we're on red circles. You get
Yeah, 2 versus 2 game, Cake Factory. Mikey, you mentioned the side games. I just realized Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't have one, but in the game itself, there's that chess game that some characters play. Why isn't that a playable thing in Baldur's Gate 3?
Missed opportunity.
That's like the one thing that game has everything but a side game. There's no side games in Baldur's Gate 3.
I would love to know.
I'm going to tell everyone that's why I haven't played it.
Well, it makes sense. For the 2 wheelheads, is there some sort of reward or like storyline that you get by doing that, or is it just mostly the fun of the love of the game rather?
There is a little bit of storyline. I won't spoil it for Mikey since he's a fellow Wheels head, but there is a little storyline at the end of it. Like, not really related to, like, I guess the core storyline. It has its own thing.
Yeah. Nice. Well, side games, Wheels. Any last Wheels words before I know what you guys close out your comments at the end of the podcast with just talking about it?
Have you gotten the bow and arrow yet? Like, have you gotten the bow? Like the archer one?
Yeah, I got the archer.
Once you get that, that's when it's like, yeah, you can just shoot over their fence.
I like Thief too, because Thief similarly. Basically, you can erect those walls. Have you guys played Wheels at all?
I have played it, yeah.
I just
Okay.
walked right past the table. Walked right past it.
Yeah, I like the characters that can basically ignore the walls and damage people.
Nice.
Without it. Yeah. So anyway. Wheels, pretty good.
I like
pretty good fun
one thing I do
side
like
game.
about side games in worlds in games, especially they do it in this game too, which is like you never know who's going to be a Wheels player. Like there's this one area where I don't even know what the characters are called, but you go to this area in the sky where these like giants are, and like you just go and talk to this giant set of feet, which is presumably a giant that's standing off screen, and you can challenge that character to a Wheels match, which is so funny.
Yeah, nice.
One thing we've talked about a bit in this game, but I'm gonna bring up now is I loved the battle system in this game. I think that is probably where the combining of influences is at its best in this, and the big reason that I loved it through the end of the game was the constant engagement, and I think all the systems work very, very well together. There's so many reasons that I could talk about loving it. Maybe one thing I'll bring up to get the conversation starter is a little bit of maybe the nitty gritty, which I think it's been talked about by several of you, but in this game, you can do all sorts of things. You can do a regular attack from your character. Every character also has special abilities, which, like in many games, uses your small pool of mana points. And you never really... Your mana points in this game are used... Like, some abilities use 4 mana points, others use 11. Your mana pool is never going to be that high. I think by even the end of the game, some characters might have 25 mana points. But it's all balanced really well because when you use regular attacks in this game, you earn back like 3 or so mana points. So there's incentive. Regular attacks aren't just like, well, I'm out of magic, I gotta use this thing like in some battle systems. They not only give you mana points back, but then they give you that, I think what's called, I gotta look it up, it's called like extra mana or something. But the little boost, I'll call them a boost. They give you the boost that you can use for your other abilities. And
the Stardust.
The Stardust. That's really good. You came up with that.
But you added the vocal flair.
The Stardust.
I think you guys get shared custody here.
Ooh, I'll take it.
And he's like a gangster from, I don't know.
He's definitely from New
40s
Jersey.
or something.
He goes to the Bing.
Give me the Stardust.
Yeah, he goes to the Bing. But I think all this being said, there's several other elements to the battle system. I always found that there was something to do or a little strategy to be had, whether it be saving my mana because I want to use this protective spell the next move, or heal someone, or saving a boost, or attacking with a regular attack so that I can use a full boost next with like a crazy spell. I loved it and found it more engaging as the game went on, and to be the thing that I think is my highlight of this game. Mikey, any thoughts on the battle system for you? Any little tidbits we haven't highlighted about it?
100% agree. I think this battle system is what carries the game, personally. I think it's definitely its strongest feature. Maybe next to the art. Music's pretty great too. I don't know, hard to pick, but I think without battles feeling fun, RPGs can get real boring, real sad, and real grindy. And yes, I think you described it very well in saying there's always something to do. So it's super interactive, super stimulating. Turn to turn, there's the rhythm, just the little countdown next to, people's attacks that are coming up, the block system matching. So yeah, there's always something to do. Really engaging, really fun. I agree.
Yeah.
Great battle system. 10 out of 10, no notes.
Eddie, any thoughts on the battle system from you, dude?
I echo everything Mikey said. It was one of my favorite things of the game. The battles never got boring. They were fun. I looked forward to boss battles. I'm a turn-based guy at my core. Give me turn-based RPGs. I don't typically gravitate to the action-based where 5,000 things are happening and I have to input things on the fly. I like to see the battle, plan out what I want to do, and then that to me is more fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I've got a few more things I'll highlight about this system, including, I'm about to turn to a Final Fantasy X adorer, But the swap system in this game, like, I truly just could not get enough of it. Kristin, any highlights for you about the combat?
The timing stuff, honestly, I don't normally, like, I actually put down the Thousand Year Door remake, which I know everybody loves Thousand Year Door, but for me, I just like the timing signals do not mesh with me. Like, I cannot get them. In Sea of Stars, for me, they're perfect. Like, auditory and visual cues are both like exactly what I would expect them to be. And so lots of fun. And I love the Valaire's thing where it like just gets faster and faster, and you have to keep like, and you can technically just do it infinitely. Yeah.
Can you? I was always curious about that.
Yeah, I think there's an achievement.
I was like, I feel like I'm doing this perfect, but are you cutting me off, or did I fuck it up?
Fact check me on it, but I think there's an achievement for doing it like an absurd amount of times, like 50 or something like that.
Damn.
There's an
Super
achievement
jump.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. The Mario RPG super jump.
Yeah, that's
Never
what
stop.
made me
Can
think
you
of
do that forever?
I think it caps you. No, I don't know if it caps you at 100, but if you do it 100 times, like it's like an instant kill or something. Like that's like a speed run thing. There's a speed run tactic where if you
Interesting, jumping on something 100 fucking times is a speed run.
Because if you do it, you get this like broken item that like changes the whole game. Because some characters like, wow, you jumped on a Goomba 100 times. Here's the fucking win the game with one click of the button thing. And then you just, who knows?
The more you know.
The timing based system I also really loved because of my dear friend here, Eddie Martin. I grew up for a long time admiring Super Mario RPG from afar, but finally beat it 2 years ago, the year this game actually came out. And so they do so many little things with that system, I think, that are really strong outside of just the system on its face, which is like, I love the satisfaction of the timing based attacks, like we're talking about the Moonerang that Valaire has, where you can just, and sometimes there's so much, like, I love the tension of these battles where I'm like, okay, there's 3 enemies here. One of them has like 3 moon blocks on its thing, and if I don't hit all 3,
You gotta time it.
it's gonna whip us. So not only do I have to time 3 hits right, but you have to time it for every character that it goes between, and sometimes they're at different distances. So as it ramps up, and the pace ramps up, I thought it was so great how that all worked together. But a little tiny piece of that, Kristin, I think you said something about the sounds of the system. When you do something successfully versus failing it, like, it's just amazing what they were able to do with the audio, because I could like feel that it felt right. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because I know that sound 20 hours in is the successful one because I mostly time things right, but it felt satisfying too.
Brag much.
Okay.
God gamer over here.
buddy.
Yeah, kind of time to hit's good most of the time.
I don't even remember what the failure sounds like.
Yeah, could someone do it for me on pod? I don't really get it.
Lucas from the Wizard over here.
So yeah, I love that system very much. There's a couple other things that they allow you, I think, at a certain point in the game. I think someone could argue that there's too many battle elements. I just love them all working together. Like, there's the combo system where you fill up this. Basically, it's an upside down square. It's like a polygon, but you fill this up by timing things well, and then you can do special combo attacks that are in this game. Like, Kristin, you're laughing.
An upside down square would still be a square.
Still a square.
When I say upside down, it's just tilted 45 degrees. I am sorry. So I forgot about that. That allows you to do combo attacks, which are like sometimes just like, oh, the first one you do is Valaire and Zale. They do a solstice strike where they each could hit twice if you time it well.
Which is definitely some Chrono Trigger ass shit. The like dual techs, triple tech, that type of shit.
And so I loved like saving those for the right moments, building them up, sometimes using one because I just want to like knock an enemy out and not let it do its super move, or saving the triple one. One of my favorite ones is a character we haven't even mentioned yet. I think it's pronounced Beast, but it's a character you haven't seen yet, Mikey. It's this like pink gas that they make this like living glass for it to live in, and it's like this tank of a like, how would you describe Beast, you two, Kristin and Eddie? It's just this gas that's in this glass. I feel like it sounds
Yeah,
crazy.
that's kind of what he is. Yeah, it's just I remember liking him a lot.
He's cool.
Yeah.
You know what? I always thought he looks like Krang from Ninja Turtles because he's like
Yes.
pink.
Oh,
And
nice.
he's in a body because he's a soul that was disconnected from a body. So like the soul lives on in this living glass, like Connor said. But I always thought he was like Kirby and Krang, kind of.
Yeah.
That's a
Nice.
perfect description.
Oh, I see a picture of him now. I understand.
Not only did I love this character, and I think despite being a little down / mid on the narrative, I think the world building is awesome in this game, including this guy and like where he comes from. And does the classic thing like in so many of these games where it's like one person from every corner of the world come together. But Beast has this move with Zale where Zale, who's the fire user, like throws fire on Beast's like magic volleyball essentially, and Beast like basically spikes it into the enemy. It's just a combo that I didn't get over. You also get summons in this game. Once you use enough like special attacks, it fills up this other meter that then you can use summons. Like Sarai can summon the pirates. Zale shoots this giant sun fireball at them. Beast basically summons like a dragon made of goop. Like it's all awesome. I will say, as much as I love the battle system, sometimes these battles drag on way too long. And like I noticed, especially at the end of the game where I actually did a hair of grinding, I wasn't finding myself in too much trouble. This is another not supposed to be a brag moment, but I wasn't finding myself in trouble even in some of the bigger battles. That's also because I did everything there was to do except the stupid conches, which Kristin and I talked about. I was about as leveled up as you could be. I was like, man, I've done these cycles enough, and I've been doing the same cycle of like 15 moves to build up all my stuff to use it. I just felt like it went on a hair too long. I have been talking a lot about the battle system. Were there any like battles or bosses or highlights or anything that anybody else wanted to highlight on this topic? I think we pretty much got those in.
I think to your point, and things kind of taking a while. I think things healing themselves, creatures that could like heal. Man, that felt unbalanced at times. Where I'm like, you could be doing everything right, and then it's just a matter of turns, and then their one turn comes up, erases everything that you did, and you're like, all right, well, here we go again. But I feel like that was kind of an anomaly.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the most consistent thing. It was every now and then you encounter some shit like that, but yeah.
I remember this one machine boss that you fight, I think in Sarai's world, where Mikey, it has like these 3 different sort of canisters that it uses, and the green one heals, and sometimes it'll have 2 of them, which you can only ever take out one of their defenses at a time, so it will be healing, and I found that really tough. I could probably do a 2-hour podcast just on the battle system and what I loved, but swapping in the different characters, using the combos, finding ways to knock out enemies from to take down their defenses so they don't kill you, it's awesome. One thing, Eddie, I'm gonna kind of like lead you into a topic, because
Please
you had
do.
mentioned a character that you liked earlier. Let's talk about the characters in this game, or any highlights we have. Eddie, you started talking about the character I've heard about the most coming into this game, Ol Garl. What do you have to say about this guy, and any character discussion we want to have today?
Everybody needs a Garl in their life. I'll just say that. Like, most positive, upbeat, like supportive, encouraging character ever. He's like a lot when it comes to that. Really, he's interesting because the way the game tells a story is that his name's Zale, right? Zale?
Yes.
Zale and Valir are like the blessed chosen ones who are going to bring balance to the Force, and Garl's just their friend that grew up with him, who's just a regular nobody. But, you know, he works really hard and helps them out and supports them and cooks for them, and he's like the ultimate support character, but really like this game, and I don't want to spoil stuff for Mikey, but it becomes the story of Garl, really. Garl's, in my opinion, is like the main character of this game, even though he's like the side character, because a lot of the story beats Garl is like the catalyst for in this game. And if you do the true ending, there's a lot to it as well. So I'll just leave it at that. I really liked him. I mean, I know he's a lot and he's like kind of silly, but I enjoyed Garl. I actually enjoyed the character. I was pumped when he would join the party. Like, yeah, Garl's back. You know, like he's just enjoyable. And I like his story of helping all the people out on that island and they name it after him, or he gets to name it. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I heard so much about him coming into this game that I will say at times he, leaned a little too far into, I'm a goody two-shoes guy who just loves his friends. But I will say, coming out of this, I was way more positive on him than I was annoyed. Kind of like so much of this game, little nits that I have to pick. But, yeah, I thought he was really fun, Eddie. I don't know if Kristin, did you have a side character you wanted to highlight?
No,
I said that word so many times. Forgive me. I'm gonna say it only 5 more times. Highlight, but go ahead.
I loved Garl. Like Garl's definitely the star of the show. I did like Sarai, but I don't know. I just don't remember much about her. Like, the one that I remember the most about, having been, at this point 2 years removed from the game, is Garl. Like, that's the one who I remember the most detail about. And then maybe Beast. I do remember liking Beast a lot. And
yeah,
that's pretty much, Garl. And I also like Garl's little cooking mechanic as a substitution for, buying stuff at a shop. I like that a lot because I'm the type of person who will hoard items and not use them if I have to if I have to buy them. Only in video games. In real life, I'm blowing things. I'm blowing my money. I'm blowing my items up all the time. In games, it's really nice to be able to just resupply yourself by cooking, and Garl taught us that.
He sure did. I do like that you can do that at basically any campfire. You can use your different, ingredients that you're picking up or finding throughout the world to cook things. And the criticism I'll have for that, because I don't mind that there's a little crafting. It's fine. It bothered me how slow some of them would be. Like, you have to hold down A to cook a dish, and I understand the first time they want to show all the little pictures of the stages of the meal being cooked. But by the second time I'm doing this, just make it be zoop and done.
Remind me what your number 1A and 1B games are?
Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask and Tears of the Kingdom. My 1A, 1B.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Hey, I might have critiques for those games too. Oh yeah, the cooking.
Well, yeah, just give me some funky music and we're good.
So yeah, but I did like that. I liked trying to cook an omelet or the dishes that would honestly come in very handy at times, whether it be an all-party heal or a revive and KO'd ally and they get 75% of their health.
Oh man, I'm always the heal plus MP dishes.
The best.
Oh baby, bring them on.
Sometimes you need that extra boost. Garl's cool. Sarai I really liked. Sarai ends up multiple times has a reveal in this game. It's she has such a bigger role to play, and then has way more involvement than you would have guessed. The first twist of finding out that she's actually the masked pirate leader, and then the second twist, I know I keep calling it Sarai's world, but when you get to the final act of the game and realize why she's so invested on you two Zale and Valere stopping the Fleshmancer in your own world, I thought was great. I loved Beast, and I even loved, I pronounced his name Rashawn, the alchemist you get who has the two, he always has 2 jars of stuff that he can throw around, whether it's healing or attacks. That character ends up having another huge role to play, and I thought they did a really great job of giving them their own distinct personalities, being really unique in battle and very fun, and also the way they weaved most of them into the narrative I thought was very well done. It's not oh, they're all the heroes of their areas. That's not necessarily the case, but they all do represent something from where they come, and I just thought that was awesome. Mikey, any characters you want to highlight before we sort of...
Well, I just want to shout out Zale. You know, I just don't feel like Zale gets enough love, and no, not at all.
He's cool. I do like Zale.
I did just Google Titus, and
you see it.
Pretty close.
Yeah, you see it.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Let me see. I'm gonna look through, as I look through my notes, folks, to see if there's any other big topics of discussion for this game that we haven't really covered yet. Let's see. No, I think we've gotten to talk about the majority of the topics that I really wanted to discuss. Is there anything we haven't discussed yet that any of you would like to highlight before we eventually get to closing thoughts? Eddie?
Yeah, you mentioned that you were the Teeks of this podcast. We haven't even brought up Teeks.
That's right.
Teeks is that traveling companion who doesn't fight in battles, but she's like the historian that, you know, you find pieces of lore, right? And she... Yeah, that's right. You find out more about the villain and, what was his name, Reshram, the other guy?
I kept calling him Rashawn. Yeah, I don't know if it's right, though.
How their history is unveiled through Teeks, basically. Yes. She tells you the story, and you get little flashbacks of how they were, you know, they discovered immortality, and then they, you know, had disagreements like Magneto and Professor X, basically. Yeah. Like, you know, so kind of interesting. I kind of like Teeks, how she just kind of is there and to tell you stories.
Yeah, Teeks is great. I'm trying to think, too, if there was that made me think of something else. Another opinion I had on this game. Oh, I think for the most part, the pacing in this game, like its main inspiration, Chrono Trigger, is really good. It's really strong. There were a couple points, and I think that was because I was playing this for, you know, homework for a podcast, where I was either, like, got tired of it or was discouraged about a moment where I thought it was going to be the end. There is the twist where there's a final act in the game. It's not a twist, but I just thought things were ramping up to a final dungeon/battle. And I think Kristin and I even reached out to you and was like, how much time do you think I have left? And you were like, well...
impossible question to answer, by the way, without spoiling major things for you.
Yes. But that was... So that sort of like made me not put down the game out of frustration, but I was like, okay, I'm not going to beat this week. I'm not going to beat this like tomorrow. I'll take a little breather. But other than my own expectations of when the game should feel like it should be ending or whatnot, I thought the pacing was really strong and no area or moment really outstayed its welcome for me personally. I think this is a great time to turn to closing thoughts before we plug and get out of here. And Mikey, I'll start with you. You haven't completed your journey with this game yet, so there's still stuff left on the table for you to experience. But so far, up to where you are now, as you leave this discussion, what's your overall impression? What do you want to leave us with? Final point wise.
I guess I will leave the list for the listener. That I still would recommend this game. Highly recommend this game. I think I'm still pretty high on this game. I think it's like an 8 out of 10 for me. Worth the time. Every time I revisit it, I'm like, oh, this game's so fun. It is very joyful. It's a very joyful, happy experience. So yeah, I guess that's always where I leave it. Although, the hooks never get too deep.
Okay.
I guess, if that makes sense. So, I am easily stolen away from this game by other things. So I think you did the right thing in being like on a trip and kind of like being like, I'm gonna knock this one out. I need something like that where I had that time most recently with what was the most recent Zelda that came out?
Echoes of Wisdom.
Echoes of Wisdom, where I was on a trip and really dug into that game, and I needed that. I needed sort of to have something like that. But overall, enjoy this game. Music's great. The battle system's great. And any issues that I have don't outweigh this being a worthwhile game to play. So I think it's fun.
Awesome. Well, dude, thanks for sharing all that. Eddie, how about you, buddy? What are you leaving this discussion feeling like you want to share about Sea of Stars? Like, where does it sit for you?
When I completed this game, I was very excited, and I was immediately like, I think this is a top 10 game for me. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I was really hyped. I was texting my friends. I think I texted you, Connor. And then now, like, you know, a year removed from that, I'm like, I don't think it's in my top 10, but it was very great at the time, and I'm glad I played it. I had fun. Yeah. So, loved it. It felt like a game right up my alley, and it sure was.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. And how about you, Kristin?
Yeah, I think it's again, you know, little nitpicks here and there. Like, I personally did not earn the true ending, but I looked it up, and I don't like the true ending. But by the way, never tell me that I have to 100% something to get the true ending for a game ever. Immediate from me.
Yeah,
when Arkham
same.
Knight did that, when I finished Arkham Knight, and it was like, now just get every Riddler trophy, I was never turned a game off faster.
Don't get me started.
Go fuck yourself.
Exactly. YouTube.com immediately. But yeah, anyways, but Sea of Stars, it's a solid little game. Like, it's the perfect thing for if you're in the mood for like a solid game that's not too long but not too short. Like, it's just fun to play, and it's got a nice story, like nothing groundbreaking, but I think well worth your time. And especially like if you can get it on Game Pass or something, absolutely. Like, it's definitely worth your time.
Definitely. I also highly recommend getting this game as a Christmas gift in a Secret Santa exchange, because then you're like, wow, this is the best way to play it. Yeah, as I close out with my final thoughts about Sea of Stars, is that I'm pleasantly surprised to say that I really loved this game. I've shared plenty of critiques on this throughout this discussion. I could share plenty more, but I think where this game reached its heights were some of the most fun I've had playing video games all year. It also is the perfect, because so many of its inspirations they're inescapable, but because so many of them I enjoy thoroughly, the soup, the concoction of all of them together really worked for me. And so much so that by the time I was at the end of this game, I thought I would get the true ending, but until I realized you had to collect all 60-something conches, and I said no thanks. But I did do every big side quest for all the characters. There's a couple, I guess you would call them, like in Mass Effect, you'd call them loyalty missions, but there are missions you can do to get each character's main weapon, or I think in the Solstice Warriors case, their main armor. No, I think you also get weapon for them too. There's both. I was doing all of those. I was going down every little rabbit hole that I could in the game to explore more and make sure that I covered the stuff I wanted to. And yeah, I leave this game also it being a high recommend. If you like a classic JRPG, if you like a game, Japanese role-playing game with a great battle system, I think this could do it for you, especially if you want to sample it before, borrow it from a friend, play it on Game Pass. Highly recommend. Sea of Stars, despite me coming into this game with low expectations because of Mike Steele, I feel like we've Beetlejuiced him and got him on the podcast, I really liked it, and I'm glad I played it. But that'll do it for our discussion. Co-op episode 59 is in the books, folks. We did it. Sea of Stars has been discussed. On our way out today, though, before we go, let's do some plugs. Personally, you can find me on Blue Sky at Connor McCabe. If you'd like to follow me there, it's where I probably post the most. You can also follow me on Instagram at Connor_McCabe if you really feel like it. But there's going to be less for you there if you follow me for video game stuff. So that's where you can follow me personally. Mikey Stephens, once again, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being here, buddy. What do you want to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok at Tiki Mikey Talkie. You can find me on Instagram at Mikey Loves Mikey. I've recently completely archived every single post, so it looks like there's nothing there. I am a real person. I'm in the process of reorganizing that. So just if you see my page and you're like, this guy's a serial killer, I haven't got hacked. Just I am a person. And if you're in LA and you like comedy and it's the second Friday of the month, go see the team Bitchin' at UCB, where I play with my team and we make shit up, and it's always a very fun time.
Awesome.
That's it for me.
I love it. I'll put links to all that in the show notes. Eddie Martin, my buddy. Dude, we've talked so much about Chrono Trigger. We finally got to talk about Sea of Stars. Thanks for being here, man. This was a blast chatting.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm just happy to be on summer break, guys. That's all I'll say.
I love it.
Yeah.
On your way out, pal, is there anything you feel like plugging?
Hit the 15 seconds backwards like 10 times and listen to what Connor and Mikey plugged, and then hit it forward to listen to what Kristin plugs, and follow them because they're amazing.
Wow, look at what a guy.
Double plug. Nice.
What a guy. Kristin Thorson, pal, thanks for doing this. This was a blast. This is the year of Kristin on the co-op series. What do you want to plug on your way out?
Yeah, I just occasionally Twitch stream. Haven't done it in a while, but I swear I do it sometimes. And I'm also on Blue Sky. Both of those are just under Kristin, which is sort of like my name, but different.
Hey, there you go. Lovely Twitch channel over there. Definitely give a follow and go hang out. If you're cool, listener.
Ooh, a challenge.
Yeah, if you're cool. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and just close us out with some plugs of my own. Again, all of these things that people plugged or I'm about to do will be in links in the show notes. First of all, thank you so much to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/supernpcradio who make these bonus episodes possible. If you're hearing this on the Patreon, you're probably a member of the Engineer Toad tier, or this is coming out on our main Call Me By Your Game feed like 3 years in the future or whatever it is. You can also be listening to this on YouTube, and if you're listening and watching there, thank you so much. Check us out on Patreon if you want to find more bonus content from me and the creators of our network, where we just talk about video games with our buds. We have a games club, it's great. But if not, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us grow. We want more people to listen to us. Share the show with a friend. You can find us all over social media at Call Me By Your Game, on Instagram and Blue Sky. Same thing goes with our network, Super NPC Radio. And yeah, if you're listening in the future, check us out there to see what bonus stuff we'll have going on. But oh yeah, and our producer, our editor, the guy who does the music, Jeremy Schmidt. You can thank him by listening to his podcast, Video Games, a Comedy Show, wherever you get yours. And the cover art's by Glenn J. I did this kind of backwards this time. I don't know what I was thinking, so I'm all thrown off. But that'll do it for Co-op episode 59. We'll see you next month when I am discussing Donut County with a few friends, including the aforementioned Mike Steele. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.